We begin this evening talking about the extraordinary developments in Haiti over the weekend. Jean-Bertrand Aristide resigned yesterday as the country's president. Then President Bush ordered the deployment of the Marines as part of an interim international force to restore order. Today, President Aristide arrived in the Central African Republic. There have been many suggestions that he had been kidnapped by the United States. Secretary of State Colin Powell spoke about the allegations earlier today. Here is part of what he said.
He wrote a letter of resignation. I think he might have been in touch with other people. And a leased plane was brought in, and he departed at 6:15 thereabouts on Sunday morning. He was not kidnapped. We did not force him onto the airplane. He went onto the airplane willingly, and that's the truth. And it would have been better for members of Congress who have heard these stories to ask us about the stories before going public with them, so that we don't make a difficult situation that much more difficult.
Joining me now from Washington, Timothy Carney. He is a former U.S. ambassador to Haiti under President Clinton. From Boynton Beach, Florida, Republican Congressman Mark Foley. With me here in New York, Jeffrey Sachs, director of the Earth Institute at Columbia University, and Michelle Montas, director of Radio Haiti. I am pleased to have each of them here. Tell me what you think should happen in Haiti now.
Now, it's very difficult to have a simple answer because the fact that the intervention came so late meant that a number of political players are now in the field that they wouldn't have been 2 weeks ago. I mean, the armed man with a human rights record.
So the United States, you think, should have moved much earlier?
Definitely.
Yeah, you share that, don't you, Jeffrey?
I don't think the U.S. should have moved except to protect the government.
Okay, but if the government was under siege, do you think they should have moved?
I don't think they should have gone to Aristide last night and said, or 2 nights ago, that we're withdrawing all protection. You'll all be killed unless you immediately leave, which is what the U.S. reportedly did. And they threatened him that either you get out now or you and your family are going to be killed, which is a pretty crude act. And that's what we're hearing right now from a number of people that have talked to the president and his wife in the last day.
The failure of American policy in Haiti is what?
Well, we've abused and misused this country for 200 years, but in the last 3 years, we tied it up so tight economically, we created an absolute collapse, knowingly.
All right. Congressman Foley, what should we do now, and what is your own assessment of the events leading up to Aristide's leaving the country?
Well, first, let me say that the President and Secretary Colin Powell operated very correctly in the weeks preceding and up to the departure of Mr. Aristide, working with the Caribbean community, working with the Organization of American States, working with the Canadian and French governments, trying to get a plan in which we could have a shared power arrangement with Mr. Aristide and with some other party being the Prime Minister. The concern the international community had was that Mr. Aristide had been giving time after time opportunities to enhance and increase the opportunities for his citizens at home. He failed to do that. The chaos that was brought forward was at his own hands, at his own device. Now, first, let me reject the notion that we kidnapped him. This is asinine. This assertion by members of Congress is damaging, as Secretary Powell stated. First, if we kidnapped him, how did he end up with a phone? We wouldn't allow him to have a phone making calls to 5, 10 individuals. But now that that's done, let's put that aside and look for the best interest of Haitians, and that's to join with the UN, UNESCO, CARE, the Peace Corps, and other groups, and actually go down there and help educate the Haitian people, put in the infrastructure necessary for quality of life, and do things that will enhance and stabilize Haiti, not have it continually being led by political factions pro-Aristide or anti-Aristide. Let's make it abide by the rule of law and hopefully have a helpful and healthy economy for those living in Haiti.
Can you help us, Ambassador Carney, as to what you think took place in the leaving of Aristide and what you think ought to be done now?
Well, 2 points to make. One, sitting at a reception at my residence in Port-au-Prince some 5 years ago, was a noted Haitian author, and he was trying to explain Haiti to me, and he said, you know, in our country, it is a short step from reality to fantasy, and I believe Jean-Bertrand Aristide has taken that step.
How so?
Now, it's simply fantastic to believe the allegations and accusations he's made. There is nothing to it. The man, I think, has realized his era in Haiti is over for his own reasons, perhaps taking bad advice from people who fed at his trough, he's making these nonsensical assertions.
Go ahead.
Since we haven't even heard from him, how can you say that, actually? Have you talked to him today?
Of course not, but I'm assuming that those who have put his view forth are doing so in what they think is good faith.
Well, what do you think?
Well, I don't know. I don't have enough information to know
You
what
have more
happened.
contacts in Haiti than anybody else.
Yes, it seems to me that until Saturday evening, until there was no question that President Jean-Bertrand Aristide did not want to leave.
Yes.
Why did he change his mind so quickly? What was told to him to make him change his mind? So I think simple logic tells us that it couldn't have been as easy as it was presented to us.
So you agree with Professor Sachs?
We know,
Yes,
in
I
fact, that late Saturday night he was talking to many people of important responsibility, denying that he would leave. And at 2 in the morning, the American troops showed up. So there's something that we haven't heard, and we haven't seen him, and he hasn't been allowed to speak.
But it's fair to say you're giving the worst interpretation to this.
I'm saying that all of the people that say it's absurd, let's see President Aristide and hear what he says.
Congressman Foley? Let's see.
Charles Taylor wasn't going to leave Liberia. He left. Maybe Doc Duvalier wasn't going to leave Haiti. He left. Every mortal man recognizes that their life's at stake, and they choose the safe passage provided by the United States government rather than risk their lives at the hands of assassins. So I believe Mr. Aristide, who has spoken personally to Maxine Waters, who has spoken personally to Charlie Rangel in the last 12 hours, who's spoken to other members of the community in person on a cell phone, really speaks volumes to the fact that he's not being held hostage. He's able to communicate. He's seeking retribution against the United States. He's trying to rally pro-Aristide factions in Haiti to suggest we've taken him against his will, which they hope will then spur more violence. It's a reckless statement. It's a reckless act. I believe Colin Powell has the best interests of Haiti, and he's denied the allegation, and I think it should be put to rest here and now.
Congressman, he's spoken a few times and denied every word you're saying.
Well, Mr. Aristide has everything to benefit by obfuscating the truth of what's happened.
Why? If he resigned to save the country as we said he would, why would he deny it the next day?
Because he said he would not leave his countrymen. He would die in his bed if he had to. This proves he couldn't hang on. It gives him an out, gives him a way to save face with his people, that he was spirited away. He wasn't going to leave the country. He said that emphatically. Now he's had to turn tail and run. Believe me, all I want is the best for Haiti. Mr. Aristide's gone. We should be focusing on rebuilding this country. But if he was kidnapped, then we've done an awful poor job of keeping him isolated to have so many international calls made.
Congressman, you said that this was done with the leadership of CARICOM, who are furious at this turn of events, you know. And we've spoken with many of them, and what they say is that they wanted to preserve democracy. They called for a power-sharing arrangement. Aristide agreed. The opposition did not. And we then gave the opposition the veto. So what kind of agreement, talking with the leadership of the democratic countries of the Caribbean, are we doing?
We attempted a power-sharing arrangement. We went and hopefully and helpfully negotiated what we thought would be an end to the crisis. Yes, the opposition rejected it. But Canadians and French had said that they would not send a person nor a dollar to Haiti to prop up the failed regime of Mr. Aristide. They were emphatic on that point, and others in the organization American State, who had issued resolution after resolution urging Mr. Aristide to get his act together and get his government cleaned up. He failed miserably in the tasks provided to him with the generosity of the OAS and the American government. This is a new chapter in Haiti's life. Let's make it work.
Ambassador Carney, how did it come to this point? I mean, what had happened to all the hopes and dreams of what might take place if Aristide...
Well, you got it right. There were enormous hopes and incredible dreams on Jean-Bertrand Aristide. And unfortunately, those hopes and dreams outrode the analyses and the realities.
Now, why was that, though? What is it in Europe? Because you know, it seems to be a whole range of opinions as to what Aristide was or was not doing, who the insurgents are and are not. Mm-hmm. You know, and now the question of was he kidnapped or not, or did he leave voluntarily or not, or was he pressured in a way that no one else would have, out of fear for his family, that he left?